Hello everyone, my name is Fejiro and this is cozyfeji, and on this channel we cover a variety of things such as video essays, reviews, JRPGs, and all things cozy gaming. Now, it is finally at the end of the year. 2025 has come and gone, and I have played a few games this year. Not as many as I would like to, but I played a good amount. This year has been a very interesting year for me when it's come to gaming. I found myself on a really long gaming sim for honestly felt like half of the year. And then on top of that, school and work got the better of me, especially towards the later half of the year. There would be times where I'd pick up a game and drop it. So many games that I've done that too. Not because I didn't enjoy what I was playing, I just genuinely did not have the time or the motivation to play these games. A lot of the time after work or a long school day, I would just end up just watching TikToks on end, which was not the best way to spend my time. But I did play a few of them, and I wanted to share with you guys all the games that I completed this year. For the past, I want to say 2 years, I've been trying to play a little bit more diversely, because what I noticed last year is that I've gotten myself in a lot of burnouts because I played way too many JRPGs, which is funny because JRPGs is my favorite genre, but sometimes you can always get a little too much of anything. So I decided to play a lot more diversely, and I'm looking at my list and I don't think I played that many JRPGs this year, surprisingly. But either way, let's get into it. I did make a mid-year check-in of the games that I played this past year. You could watch that, but today I'll be talking about all of the games in entirety from beginning to end. So let's get into it. I also have my gaming journal here, so that I will refer to, as well as my list, because that will have the platform and the date that I finished it. So the first game that I finished this year was Trails of Cold Steel 3. Now, this is a game that was a carry-on over from last year, and I feel like it's become a tradition of me to play a Trails game at the end of the year and carry it on over to the next year. I'm planning to do that right now. I'm currently in the middle of a playthrough of Trails in Sky First Chapter Remake, and I definitely do think that it will carry me over to next year. So Trails of Cold Steel 3 I finished on January 3rd, and I played it primarily on my Switch. And in my notes here, what did I say about it? I think I even read an excerpt, but I gave it a solid A, but in my excerpt I said, this entry was an interesting one. We had a semi-new cast of characters and a crap ton of lore dropped. I feel like I got more questions and answers this time around, and at times it almost felt a little too convoluted. But I got to trust the process because I know that Neon Falcon doesn't disappoint and it will all pay off. And all my questions will be answered. Also, the cliffhanger that this entry left on was crazy. I did say that this was probably my least favorite of the Trails games and in the Trails arc. I will go more into detail of how I feel about it once I talk about the other games that I played in the Trails series. I gave it a solid A. I feel like when it comes to the Trails series, they're always a fun time. I feel like there's never a bad Trails game that I've experienced. I think all of them are all solid 8A games in my opinion. What's interesting in Trails of Cold Steel 3 is that we kind of follow a new cast of the Class 7. We have old Class 7 and new Class 7. And with new Class 7, Rune is now the teacher of this new group of students, and we get to foster them and grow them and see how they work together as a team, as well as uncover the crazy truths and the war that's happening in Erebonia around and across the continent of Zemuria as well. Now, like I said, this game got really convoluted at some points. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like they're dropping a lot of new things. Like now we have witches involved in this. I mean, witches have always been involved, but we have vampires now, and it was just a lot. A lot was happening in this game, and I just felt a little overwhelmed when I played it. But again, the cliffhanger was a lot, and I really wanted to play it afterwards. But I remember when I finished playing this entry, I told myself I'm gonna pace myself and I will get to Trails of Cold Steel 4 probably during my spring break, which is around April time. But for the meantime, I'll wait. But you'll find out later that I did not wait that long to play the next entry. So the second game that I completed this year was a complete opposite to Trails, and that is To the Moon. Now, I tried to really diversify what I'm playing, and I also want to play different games to like as palette cleansers as well. So if I played a JRPG, I want to play something a little less of a time constraint, as well as something a little bit more cozy. Now, To the Moon is definitely a cozy game, but it's definitely a very sad cozy game. I think I finished this around 4 hours, and I played it all in one sitting, and it was such a fun time. Well, not a fun time. It was a sad time, but a sad fun time. And in my journal entry, I wrote, what a journey this game was, a short but bittersweet journey. It took me 5 hours to beat, and I was left with a full and empty heart all at the same time. This game has been on my wishlist on Steam for a long time, but with this past Steam sale, I decided to finally get it, and it was the best dollar I've ever spent. As someone who's a JRPG lover, I'm here for a great story, and this game handles themes of loss, grief, and identity so well. And I added a 10 story and game. And I gave this game a solid A. I really enjoyed this time, and I've heard so many rumblings about this game for a very long time. I finished this also quite soon after I finished Trails of Cold Steel 3. I finished this on January 7th, and I played this on my PC. I played a little bit on my Steam Deck, but I predominantly played it on PC. And I really enjoyed my time playing this game. It was a fun game to play in between a really, really long-winded JRPG. So to really sit down and to play a game that is short but still packs a good story, I really enjoyed my time with it nonetheless. Now, continuing on with the cozy vibes, and I play a lot of cozy games during this month of January. The next game I also played was Coffee Talk. This is also another game that has been on my Steam wishlist for a very long time, and I'm really glad that I finally bit the bullet and picked this up. I really enjoyed my time with this one as well. I really liked the premise of you playing as a barista in a cyberpunk futuristic world where you have a lot of really cool patrons that come into your coffee shop late at night to dive into their stories and their backgrounds, and to really hear more about them and how you impact their lives and how they impact your life, which I really find really fun. All the characters that come into the coffee shop was really, really fun and intriguing. Each one had their own different story that we got to kind of see an ending to, which I thought was really, really fun. And obviously making the cool, fun drinks was really cool and got me wanting to make my own coffee drinks as well. I feel like when you're playing this game, definitely get a drink with you as well. I gave this one a solid A-. It was a really good time, and I definitely, with this coming Steam sale, hopefully I will pick up episode 2. And I know that they have Coffee Talk Tokyo that's coming out. I'm not sure if it's already out or it's coming out this year, in the 2026. But nonetheless, I definitely am intrigued by this series, and I want to experience more of what it has to offer. Now, the next game I finished literally quite the next day, and that is Cook for Love. This was a game that I picked up randomly because I got a really cool gift card from a friend of mine and a eShop card, and I saw this on the eShop for like $1 or $2 or something. It's like, you know what? Why not? It's pretty short. It's a pretty fun game. It was giving me reminiscence of like Diner Dash without the hecticness of Diner Dash. You play as an apprentice to a restaurant, and to help grow its reputation, you make these dishes to help foster more people to come to your restaurant. The dishes were pretty repetitive at some points, and the story, honestly, I don't really remember much about the story. I gave this one a solid C-. A C. A solid C. It wasn't anything crazy or anything to run home about, and after playing it almost a year now later, I don't really remember much about the story, but for $1 or $2, I mean, I got my money's worth, so I'm not really mad. So the next game that I picked up was a game that I was quite familiar with, and I think I owned on my iPad at one point when I had Apple Arcade, and that is Jenny LaClue. Now, this was a murder mystery, whodunit kind of story. Follows a preteen protagonist who's very snarky, narcissistic at times, but I really enjoyed my time with this game because, again, it is a murder mystery whodunit kind of vibe where we find out the mayor of the town, I believe, was killed, and our mother is the one who is accused of killing the said mayor. So we as a daughter are trying to prove our mother's innocence, and as we're trying to solve and prove our mother's innocence, we're also unwinding and unraveling the crazy supernatural mysteries in the town that we live in. I really, really enjoyed my time with this game. The puzzles were pretty easy. There only was maybe one puzzle that I was like, what the heck am I doing? But for the most part, it was a really fun, narrative-driven puzzle-like game that I really, really enjoyed. I gave this one a solid B-. I definitely want to experience more of this game. I believe that they're making a sequel. This game came out, I want to say, like in 2021, so it's been a hot minute since this game has been out, and I don't know whether or not they're making a sequel. Not from what I've heard, I think that they are, but who knows when that will come out. But either way, I really enjoyed my time with this one. Now, the next game that I picked up was Trails of Cold Steel 4. I finished this game in February 16th, and I played this also on the Switch. Now, like I said earlier, I told myself I wanted to pace myself with this series, but I'm not gonna lie. I really wanted to know what was going to happen next in this series, especially in this arc, because like I said earlier, Trails of Cold Steel 3 left on a very huge cliffhanger, and I really wanted to see how it plays out. And of course, I felt very fulfilled for the most part with this game. I feel like for me, I have a very much a love-hate relationship with the Cold Steel arc, the Erbonia arc. What I said in my journal entry is that now that I finished this arc, I would rank it last in my ranking. It has its highs, but the lows definitely bring it down in comparison to the other arcs. And I feel like for me, when it came to this one, I felt like it definitely just felt a little too bloated for my liking. I think that there's way too many cast members in this arc to keep track of, and I feel like, in my opinion, Trails of Cold Steel this arc could have been split into two. We could have just had Trails of 1 and 2 be its own thing and 3 and 4 be its own thing, but I digress. I still enjoyed my time, and I gave this again an A-/B+, which is definitely probably my lowest ranked Trails game. I know that some people prefer this one out of the entirety of the Trails series. If I were to pick my favorite, it'd probably maybe be 2. Yeah, I think 2 was my favorite of the Cold Steel arc, but I still enjoyed my time with it, and I still want to continue with the Trails series. Trails series will forever be one of my top favorite JRPG series or just series in general of all time. I do think that the storytelling in this series is just unmatched and cannot be touched by any other series. But yeah, and I will talk more about how I feel overall as well when I get to the next Trails game I played this year later. So the next game that I picked up was A Date with Death. This was a really fun, cheeky otome dating sim game that I picked up on Steam. I think I got it for like relatively cheap. I don't remember the exact price, but I know I got it for pretty cheap, and I saw it on TikTok where you're pretty much dating literally Death himself. Now it's really interesting. He is a Reaper, and he has been trying to kill the character that you play for ever, like for as long, like you have a target on your head the whole time, and for some reason you just escape death many times. But I really liked the banter that they had, because what's really interesting about them talking and dating, or not dating, but like how they interact with each other is through a online chat room, which again, very weird, but I find it very funny that the main character that you play kind of just takes it kind of very lightly, and throughout the week that you get to know each other, you tend to end up falling for each other. I know that this game has multiple endings, and I forgot what kind of ending I got. It wasn't a horrible one, but it wasn't a good one either. I think I almost die in my ending from what I remember, but nonetheless, I thought it was a fun, very short and sweet-lived game that I played. I think I put in about like 4 hours or so, but I enjoyed it nonetheless, and I gave this one a solid B, and I definitely will go back to it at some point to get the other endings as well. And I believe there's also DLC that's come with this one. And I finished this game on April 21st. I believe I was playing this during my spring break at the time. Now fast forward 2 months later, on June 16th, I finally finished Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. Now this was a game that I've been really anticipating for a really long time. I bought this day one, and I played this on my Steam Deck, and this game honestly did not disappoint. Now I have played other Rune Factory games that just haven't really clicked for me, but this was the one that really stuck the landing for me and personally. I genuinely enjoyed the story in this game. I think that was, to me, it's strongest suit, especially comparison to the other Rune Factory games. I felt like the story was a lot better. I really liked the bachelors and bachelorettes in this game as well, and of course the farming sim aspect was really fun, being able to make a town pretty much essentially in all the different regions or seasons and regions. I really enjoyed my time with it. I really enjoyed it. I know that towards the end it kind of got a little much and very tropey when it came to the story, but I really indulged and had a great time. And I definitely need to go back and finish my game, because the character that I ended up romancing in Rune Factory Gardens of Azuma was Murasame. I just thought his character arc was really funny, and he was just a very much giving himbo energy, so I had to romance him. If I were to go back, I do like that this game has a not silent protagonist, that they actually have personality and they have like agency, which I really, really like, because I feel like from past entries, a lot of the time our protagonist is silent, and there's actually a lot of voice acting in this game, which is honestly a chef's kiss compared to previous entries. I gave this one a solid B+. There were definitely things that needed to be improved on, but overall I had a really great time with this one. So the next game that I played was the proper ending to the Trails of Cold Steel arc, and that is Trails into Reverie. Now this one game kind of played very similar to Trails in the Sky the Third, where it's not as dungeon crawlery, but it definitely plays where you kind of like have this hub area like you did in the third, and you definitely follow different routes, which is very interesting. We have Lloyd's route from Crossbell, we have Reen's route from Eurabonia, and then of course we have C. I will not say who C is, because that would give a huge spoiler to the entirety of the game, but I really do liked how we got a proper ending for both the Crossbell and the Eurabonia arc. Now I did get a little emotional, but overall I do think that it was a very interesting ending to both the arcs. I didn't love the ending per se, and how a certain character kind of goes away scot-free. I'm trying to like tread lightly because I really don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I do feel like now the Trail series has a problem with like letting go characters and like people letting them like die for good. I feel like they did a pretty good job of that towards the beginning of the franchise, especially in the Trails in the Sky arc. But for whatever reason, people just either come back alive or they're not really dead, especially in this arc, and it was just kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But all in all, I gave this a grade A. I enjoyed my time with it. It was a tearjerker for sure, but I just feel like I wanted a little bit more. And as like I was said earlier, Trails of the Cold Steel arc is definitely my least favorite arc of the Trail series. If I were to rank them, it would probably be the Crossbow duology, very closely followed by the Sky arc, and then the Cold Steel arc. I've only put in like about an hour into Daybreak, but I've heard really good things about that duology or trilogy. I'm not sure if Beyond the Horizons, I believe, is the cap off for that series. So either way, I'm excited to get into that and see where I'm at, because I know that we're kind of reaching towards the end point for the Trail series, which I'm excited, because it's definitely going to be a huge payoff for all of us players. Now the next game that I played was definitely a game that I've been wanted to play for a while, and that is Planet of Lana. I absolutely loved my time with this one. This kind of gave me a very much reminiscent to the Studio Ghibli films. If you love those films, I feel like you would love this story, where we follow a girl in this very interesting tropical climate but it's also set in a future success setting, because they have these really interesting bots that are kind of like wreaking havoc in this world, and one of these bots ends up causes terror and destruction in her town, taking her brother. So you follow her and her journey to help rescue her brother. I absolutely loved my time with this. I think the music in this game was top tier. The cinematography and the cinematics in general was just stunning. And I mean, there's very minimal dialogue, but it still told such an amazing story that had me in my feels many a times throughout. I definitely really enjoyed it, and I really do hope to get the physical version of this game at some point. I know it is an indie game and they did make very limited physical copies, but I hope to get it at some point. I gave this a solid A. if not, dare I say, probably one of my favorite games I played this year. Another indie title that I played this year was Gris. Now, I picked up this copy from my local library and I finally decided to dabble into this one. I've been hearing really good things about this from many of my peers and my friends who play this game, and it did not disappoint. Again, very similar to Planet of Lana. I feel like this also had very little dialogue, but it did tell its story through its cinematics, aesthetics, and of course, music. And I really love this game because it really deals a lot with themes of grief, loss, and learning how to process that grief and loss. And I really think it does a great job of expressing how grief is not just a one and done thing, that it comes in waves and that you're never really done really grieving. It's always going to be a part of you, unfortunately, but it shouldn't have to take over and rule your life. And I feel like this game tells that story and how grief looks like really well. I really like the campaign combat of it because it is more puzzle leaning with some platforming elements to it, but nonetheless I really enjoyed my time and I gave this one an A as well. And I definitely want to play Neva, which is from the same studio who made this game. Also a game that also I feel like deals with grief as well. But nonetheless, I really want to get into that one as well. Because if I enjoyed Gris, I feel like I'm going to enjoy that one just as much. And the last game that I've played this year was Dispatch. Now, I'm not going to lie, I definitely fell into and succumbed to FOMO when it came to this. Because I kept seeing this all over my timeline this year. Especially my TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and content creators are playing it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to play this because I feel like it's a very low stakes game, especially for me. When it came out, I was still in my last semester of school, and it's a telltale adventure, choose your own choice kind of game where your options do kind of lead to an outcome that usually, like, it leads to an outcome. And so I wanted to experience this because the game came out episodically, 2 episodes a week, and they were about an hour long each, so about 2 hours or so that I'm spending playing in each episode, or all the 2 episodes. And I thought that would be a really great way for me to slowly but surely get back into gaming without too much of a commitment of like a JRPG. And for the most part, I enjoyed my time. Now that I've kind of like sit with it and I've had time to really ruminate my thoughts on it, I would honestly give this game a solid C+. I don't think it's like game of the year worthy. I definitely do think that the story could have been left in the oven just a little bit longer, because my gripe with this game is that the endings were kind of like whatever, and the characters weren't really written well enough, in my opinion. I think Robert Robertson, the guy that we play, the main character we follow, is written really well and a really endearing character, and I really do love him. But I feel like the rest of the cast that we got to encounter and experience didn't really get that time to be really fleshed out. So I didn't really feel like they didn't really mean too much to me. And so with the outcomes that happened to them, I was just like, okay, whatever. Also, I felt like a lot of the women in this weren't really written that well, especially Avisagal. It behooves me to know that that girl is 27 and I thought not that she's 17. The way that she's written and how she talks and carries herself, low-key is annoying, which is funny because I really liked her character in the beginning, but then as it felt like a show. As the series went on, the game went on, I kind of just could not care about her at all. She was getting on my nerves, to be honest. But yeah, I really do hope that when they do make a season 2, because it did sell really well, the buzz was definitely there. I do hope that when they make season 2 that they really take the time to really flesh out other characters in the cast and not just focus solely on Robert Robertson. As much as I do love him, the voice acting was really good. But overall, I do wish that they could have just given us just a little bit more. So this year I completed a total of 12 games, which honestly, not too bad. I was looking at my previous year and I think I only beat 13, which is really interesting. I just was a little shy by 1, and I honestly would say I'm proud of myself because most of this year I was in school and working so it was really hard for me to really balance my hobbies, especially gaming. But coming into 2026, I hope to experience more journeys and more characters and play more games, and obviously share that with you guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I would love to hear what are your games that you played this year. I look forward to see you guys in the next video. Bye.